Today we're going to try and navigate the work of one of modern literature's most dizzyingly original minds. We are stepping into the metaphysical mazes of the Argentine master Jorge Luis Borges.
So, let me ask you a question. What if the universe was actually a library? And what if every book that could ever be written already exists somewhere on its shelves? I mean everything. Every truth, every lie, the entire story of your own life, and even the exact moment of your death. It's all there. You just have to find it. Now, that's not just some cool sci-fi prompt. It's a deep, philosophical experiment. And it's exactly the kind of huge, reality-bending what-if that Jorge Luis Borges used to build his entire literary world. A universe made not of atoms, but of ideas, paradoxes, and puzzles. To really get Borges, you have to wrap your head around this central paradox, which I think the French writer André Malraux just nails right here. Borges built entire universes, but he did it in miniature. His stories are like these little pocket-sized black holes. They're incredibly dense, packing this huge philosophical weight into just a few perfectly written pages.
So, who was the man behind all these intellectual mazes? Who was the architect of these seemingly impossible worlds?
Well, Borges was a true citizen of the world. He was born in Argentina, yeah, but he was really shaped by Europe. His heritage was this whole mix of cultures, and he was fluent in multiple languages from the time he was a kid. He was a key figure in a movement called ultraismo, which was all about breaking from the past with these bold, kind of shocking metaphors. And this global perspective is so important because even if his stories are set in Buenos Aires, what he's talking about is totally universal. And here's the thing, as his eyesight started to fail him, the external world just sort of faded away, and he turned inward, building these more and more complex worlds entirely inside his own mind.
Okay, so to really understand Borges, we gotta look at the blueprints of his imagination. He kept coming back to a few core concepts, these foundational pillars that he built all of his infinite corridors on. This one is probably his most famous creation. The Library of Babel is a universe made entirely of information. Just picture it, an endless building filled with books that are almost all complete gibberish. But because it contains every possible combination of letters, it has to, by definition, contain everything meaningful too. The cure for cancer, the true history of the universe, a perfect biography of you, it's all in there. It's this beautiful and frankly terrifying metaphor for our own world, drowning in data but starving for wisdom. It's that anxiety of trying to find one true signal in an infinite ocean of noise.
But Borges didn't just mess with space. He also loved to play with time. In The Garden of Forking Paths, he imagines a book that isn't a straight line but a maze. Every single time a character has to make a choice, the story doesn't just pick one path, it explores all of them at the same time. This creates this infinite web of parallel timelines, a labyrinth not of space but of time itself. Wild, right?
So the reason these ideas are so powerful is because of the way Borges presents them. He had this signature technique for blurring the line between what's real and what's imaginary so completely that you, the reader, are left just questioning everything. And here's how he did it. It's almost like a three-step formula. First, he just invents something, a fake book, an imaginary scholar, or in one story, Tlon, Uqbar, Orbis Tertius, an entire fictional planet. Then, and this is the genius part, he would cite his own fictional creations right alongside real philosophers and actual historical events. And finally, he'd write about it all with this really dry, serious academic tone. The effect is just uncanny. He makes the unreal feel not just possible, but like academically proven. And this quote right here, it perfectly sums up his whole philosophy on art and time. Borges argued that before Kafka wrote, nobody would have seen the Kafkaesque things in earlier writers like Zeno or Kierkegaard. A truly new artist doesn't just add to the timeline of history, they actually change our whole perception of the past. They give us a new lens to see what was already there all along. So why are we still talking about these weird intellectual games from a nearly blind Argentina librarian? Why do they still hit so hard today? Well, because as it turns out, he wasn't just writing fiction. He was kind of writing prophecies about the world we live in right now. I mean, just think about it. His infinite library is the internet, a massive chaotic sea of information and misinformation, where the truth is just one option among trillions of lies. His Garden of Forking Paths? That's a perfect description of how we manage multiple versions of ourselves online, on all our different social media feeds. His idea that any man is all man feels so incredibly spot on in an age of avatars and virtual identities. Borges basically gave us the metaphors for the 21st century, decades before it even started.
So what's the big takeaway here? The worlds Borges built are super complex, sure.
But what he's really getting at is something deeply human. He's reminding us that we are all storytellers. We build systems and narratives and beliefs just to try and make sense of a chaotic universe. And sometimes, those fictions we create become so powerful, they actually start to reshape our reality.
In the end, Borges leaves us with one of his deepest questions, one that you can hear echoing all through his work. In this huge labyrinth of a reality that we're all living in, are we the ones dreaming it all up, or are we just characters inside someone else's dream?